We're going to go ahead and get started for today's guest speaker and our 4th annual ECU Anthropology Alumni Lecture Series. Again, as you know, this is our very final lecture on this lecture series for 2013, and it gives me great pleasure to mention our esteemed speaker and Dr. Cynthia Bellacero. Before I arrive to introduce her, just a reminder that the purpose of this lecture series is designed for former ECU anthropology students to share their expertise and experiences to current anthropology students who are preparing to graduate or who are anticipating to graduate in the next few years. We hope this lecture series creates more of a constructive, practical dialogue between recent ECU anthropology graduates with current ECU anthropology majors. With that, I would like to introduce Dr. Cynthia Bellacero. The title of her talk is From Archaeology to Administration. It can happen to you. I love that title. She's a graduate of our program, and I believe in a BA with the 2001 and a master's from our program in 2004. And her concentration is in prehistoric archaeology. And she is currently the department chairperson for social sciences at Craven Community College. Let's have a round of applause for Dr. Cynthia Bellacero.
That was a very lovely introduction. Thank you. Well, hi everybody. I have a presentation for you today that kind of describes what I do at the college and how it might be a little bit different from what an anthropologist would normally do. But if there's something you want to know about what it's like to make the transition from being a graduate student to a professional in the field, we can talk about that too. Because sometimes that's the information that you don't get, and it's the hardest thing to figure out. And I did like ECU so much, I graduated from it twice. I was here as an undergrad, and then I did my master's in prehistoric archaeology with Dr. Daniel. And then I went on to Florida State University and finished my graduate work. I did a PhD in Mesoamerican archaeobotany, which is really technical for us. Study little tiny seeds that came from Mexico. And then I worked as a faculty member at Florida State University for a while before I came back to take the position of the chair of social sciences. And humanities and foreign languages get all lumped into there somehow as well. So it's a little bit different. Craven Community College is a 2-year college, and the area we're in, I brought a little bit of information in case somebody's interested in what we do. The area I am in is in the transfer area, so students come and they get a 2-year degree with us at Craven and then transfer to a 4-year institution. And that's one learning center in our college. There's also a health programs learning center and a 2-year terminal degree program called career programs, where after they do their 2 years and get the degree, they go out to the workforce. And then we have returning people in workforce development who may just come for a class or two. And then we also have a basic skills section that helps people get ready to go to college. So we have lots of different people who come to our college for lots of different reasons at the college. So the area we are in are liberal arts. And so liberal arts, it handles anybody who would like to go onto a 4-year institution. So we have a dean of our department, just to give you a little idea of how the structure of it works. We have a dean of our department. And then our system, we have 3 chairs, of which I am one of. And so I handle the social science disciplines, I handle the humanities disciplines, and the foreign languages. So anthropology, geography, history, humanities, philosophy, political science, psychology, religion, sociology, Spanish, French, and Italian. I think I got them all. Most of which I knew nothing about before I got there. Then we also have a chair of English, communication, and fine arts. So our English faculty, we have public speaking, we have drama, we have music, we have art, and we have a little bit of dance, I think, all wrapped up in that department. And then we have math and science, so biology, chemistry, physics, algebra, all those things. And so that's sort of liberal arts as a whole. And we have students who come through and get a well-rounded general education. So it would be equivalent to the freshman and sophomore years of college here at ECU. And then they would transfer on. Many of our students transfer right here to ECU. But we also do all the general education work for those other programs, like health programs and career programs and some of the workforce development, Spanish classes and things like that. So we work with lots of different students from doing lots of different things, anywhere from the age of 17 in our early college program, all the way up to retired people who just thought a class in a particular area might be interesting. So there's lots of different people. And so what do you guys think the chair of a department does?
Paperwork.
Lots and lots of paper computer work, I guess, yeah, it would be. How about you guys? What do you guys think? I'll let you know a little secret. I had no idea when I applied for the position what I actually would be doing when I got there. And it varies, I think, from school to school. Some schools, the chair is part faculty and part administration. I have a friend who is the chair of General Education and Allied Health at Pamlico Community College, and she is half faculty. She teaches a half load of classes, and then the other half is administrative work. Where we are, I'm mostly administrative. My position generally teaches one class a semester, but I'm the only anthropologist, so I end up teaching 2, sometimes 3 a semester because I'm the only anthropologist. But it's more of a administrative position. So I go to lots of meetings and work on lots of projects. And I get to do some interesting things in other ways that I thought I might have been doing when I first graduated with my degree. And if you wanted to be a faculty member at a community college, you would need a master's degree, either in the discipline you were teaching or a master's degree with 18 graduate level hours in the discipline you were teaching. So some of our instructors may have a degree in sociology and also have 18 hours in anthropology, or the other way around, and then they would be qualified to teach in both disciplines at the college. If you want to be the chair of a department at our college, you have to have 5 or more years of teaching experience behind you in order to do so. And most of what we do are go into meetings and sitting on committees and working in partnership with other areas of the college and high schools and universities. So you have to have really good communication skills and be able to get along with people and understand people. That's where the anthropology degree, I think, is kind of handy, because anthropologists understand people and understand differences in people and are able to work well with them. You also need to have a good awareness of sort of what's going on around the globe and even in higher education as the industry in general, to sort of be able to work well in the field. And we have lots of responsibilities. And if you ask our president what I'm supposed to do, this is what they will tell you. They will tell you that I should be implementing the mission, vision, and strategic goals of the college, or helping to do so in some way. I am responsible for providing orientation and acclimation to new faculty members as they come into the department, both full and part-time. We mentor our faculty members, we provide support for our faculty members. We're responsible for leadership development opportunities of our part and full-time faculty at the college. Professional development, so we constantly are looking, to keep ahead of what's going on in any of our disciplines and in just teaching in general, what it means to have good practices in teaching students. We do a lot of assessment. So we look at the curricula and what is being taught and how it's being taught and the instructional materials and the delivery methods, whether it be online or talking to somebody face-to-face or some hybrid version of how that works. We build course schedules, so all the courses that you guys take, somebody has to sit down and figure out, what room it goes in, how long it meets, and how many times a week it meets, and making sure there's enough for everybody to get the things they need in order to graduate in a timely fashion. And then there's lots of procedures and things that need to be followed to create order, and that has to be sort of carried out by the department head as a whole. And then all the day-to-day stuff. My day just kind of happens. Sometimes I don't know where the day went. At the end of the day, you come in and you may spend some time answering 40 or 50 emails, and then somebody will come in and they need something, and you'll go help them for a little while, and you're off to a meeting or two, and then all of a sudden it's 5 o'clock and it's time to go home. So that's sort of what happens on a regular basis, but I'll tell you, what I really do, right? What I really do on a regular basis. We do classroom observations, so we go in and we observe the instructors as part of professional development. People, your chair will come in, the full-time faculty get observed once a year, once every 3 years, the part-time faculty get observed on a yearly basis. And you tell them what you like, you tell them where there's room for improvement, and sometimes the faculty will partner and observe each other as well. And we also review syllabi, so all the syllabi that your instructors hand you when you come to class on the first day that outlines what you're going to do at the college. We look those over to make sure the grading structure's right, and they have all the things that need to be in a syllabus so you guys understand what's expected of you. We evaluate textbooks and try to make sure we have a good textbook, a current textbook at a reasonable price for the students to buy. We handle student complaints when they think they're being treated unfairly. We handle personnel issues if people are not getting along within the department. We coordinate workshops and things for faculty and students. I manage the budget, so I'm responsible for all the salaries in the department, and the equipment and the supplies, and any of the media, course enrollment, making sure there are enough students in the classes to let them run and not overscheduling or underscheduling, and having the right amount. Sometimes I work on grants. I just help the library acquire a grant to get a Muslim bookshelf. So we've got 25-ish books that came in from the National Endowment for the Humanities and some films. And we're going to be doing some lectures and some book club readings and things associated with that. So that was an exciting thing. And partnerships. We have different programs with universities and high schools and other community colleges and just community institutions within the New Bern area as well. So there's lots of stuff that we do on a regular basis. And then there's fun stuff I get to do. I get to do lots of fun stuff. There's that bookshelf we got that we wrote the grant for at the library, and we had a lecture based on that recently. One of the things I worked on this semester was we did, right for Valentine's Day, we did a showing of the history of chocolate. We showed a video, and we had a chocolatier come in and do a chocolate tasting. One of our local chocolatiers came in. So the students came in and watched the video on chocolate and learned about the history of chocolate from ancient times all the way up to the present. And then they got to taste a bunch of chocolate as well. And there's some other things we've done. We plan lecture series. Dr. Bunger came and spoke to us last year. This time we had Dr. Christie from the art department who came and talked to us about her travels in Peru, because last year we went to Peru with the students. Our club, some of the clubs, we talked about ancient Mesoamerica, and that's my area. And we talked about the ancient calendar system right before 2012. That was a big deal. So we do lots of interesting co-curricular events for students to come to, much like the one you guys are at right now, where you're listening to me talk about boring stuff about administration. And then I work on the global task force for the college as the anthropologist. I am the one and only anthropologist on campus. If it says global or cultural or multicultural or world or something of that nature in it, it ends up with me at some point or another. So I am head of Craven Community College's Global Task Force, and it's an inter-campus committee of people from all those different areas I was talking about earlier, and we come together and talk about how we can expose our students and our faculty and our staff to global issues and different cultures, and in what ways we'd like to tackle that. It's one of the initiatives of the college. There are several initiatives at the college. The one that lives with me is globalization. And it's very important to our president that we give our students some type of experience that allows them to reach beyond just Craven County in some way. So last year, I don't know if I have a slide, let me see if I have a slide. Yeah, last year we tackled a couple of different things. We have international students. We have 2 currently. One's from China and one's from Slovakia who are on our campus. We have a study abroad program that I'll talk about in just a minute. We had a project called Building Community Through Art, where 5 faculty members from the college went to the Dominican Republic and spent a week with the artists there, learning about the social history of an area and how it was translated into art through murals. And that happened in December of 2011. And then in October of last year, those same artists came to Craven County and stayed with us for 2 weeks and took oral histories and things that the community felt were important that the students collected and translated those into murals, one of which is on our campus in the Student Center. Another one's at the Early College. I think we had somebody who talked to you about Early College earlier in the semester. We have a Havelock branch of our college, and we have a mural on our Havelock campus. And then there are 2 in the community. And each are different, but represent something important to that group of people who it serves. We have lots of those on-campus activities and events I just talked about earlier that were part of the Global Task Force. And we looked at things like faculty exchange and professional development, where people could go abroad and learn and come back and integrate that into their courses. We were looking at student outreach, giving international student support, and then exposing our students to a little more global topics, and then how we can infuse that into the actual courses. It's easy in things like anthropology to be global, but it's much harder to be global in math, per se. So how do we do that? How do we let a student come into our campus and get some exposure to how things are different maybe in some other part of the world? Or maybe a topic that has relevance outside of just our area. Like we had Green Day yesterday, where we had our Green Fair, where we talked about how, what are some of the best practices to help us recycle so we don't litter our planet up and destroy it for the next generation. And then this year, we have a global web page that just went live 2 weeks ago that highlights our study abroad programs and some of the faculty and staff who sort of are doing some traveling and what their experiences were like. And we started cultivating partnerships with international organizations like Religious Community Services and Interfaith Refugee Ministry, who we have a large Burmese population. We want to interact with them a little bit more and serve that population of the community as well. We are creating a global studies center. I just got a room. Now I got to figure out where the furniture is going to come from. I just got a room where we can have students come in, sort of like a lounge, and hang out, and there will be global resources. There'll be a TV in there where you can get international channels, there'll be books, there'll be movies, there'll be computers, there'll be some online language tools and things like that, where students can go and sort of explore different aspects of other places in the world. And then we looked at getting professional development for the faculty so they can come back and share it with the students as well. This is our art project. This is our mural on campus in the Student Center. And it's so, I remember and these are some of my students up there helping to paint that mural. I took my comparative cultures class down to the center while they were there, and I made them all introduce themselves in Spanish, which we were very nervous to do, and talk to our artists just to give them an idea of what it would be like to talk to somebody in another language and have that communication. And then they got to paint some of the background things on the mural, and you know what happened? They stayed even after class was over. They stayed. They didn't just run away as soon as the class period. We took our class period there, and they stayed, and they continued to try to talk to the artists in Spanish. None of them spoke any English. And they were really interested in seeing how the mural progressed over time. And a lot of the students would say to me, well, what does it mean? And I'm like, well, that's for you to figure out, right? For you to figure out what that mural means to you on campus. And these are some of the projects when the faculty were over in the Dominican Republic, some of the murals they helped to paint. And everybody who painted the mural put a handprint at the bottom, at the end there. So they left a little piece of themselves behind. This is the faculty up front here who went to the Dominican Republic. We sent 5 people, and there were people from other area community colleges that went as well. These are my students having fun, despite it was class. Then we have a study abroad program, and I get to do that too. That's the fun part of my job too. We have a study abroad program, so we pick a destination and we go during the summer, right after graduation, but it's a process that encompasses the whole year before you go and sort of culminates with the trip at the end. So we do an in-depth study of the country we're going to beforehand. If there's a language component, and most of the time there is, we'll do some workshops so we can have a little practice before we go. We have guest lecturers come in and talk about the country. This year we're going to Ecuador, and we had a professor from UNC Chapel Hill come talk to us about the Galapagos Islands. We do a service project. Sometimes we do a service project beforehand for when we go. This year we'll be doing a service project in country while we're there. And then orientation meetings, because students go, what do I pack? What do I need to bring? How do I do this? So we talk about what the process is of getting ready to go, what you'll need, how you'll be able to function and talk to people at home while you're there. And while students are in the foreign country, they do a fieldwork project. They do anthropology whether they like it or not, right? So they pick something they're interested in and they keep a journal. Sometimes it's a written journal, sometimes it's a photo journal, sometimes it's a video journal. And they talk about, and then they come back and they give a presentation to all the other students and faculty and staff showing us what they learn. And they get credit for it. It's a humanities class called Cultural Studies that they take as part of the trip. Last year we went to Peru. There we are in Peru. And we got to go to the jungle. We went into the Amazonian rainforest and we learned about the flora and the fauna. We went to Cusco. We went to Machu Picchu. We went to Nazca. We spent a little time in Lima. We took Spanish immersion classes. We did a service project with local preschools while we were there as well. This year we're going to Ecuador. I don't have pictures of us because we haven't gone yet. But we're going to be spending most of our time in Quito, but we'll be doing a Spanish immersion class again. We'll be doing a service project in the Quito area with local preschools. And because we choose to do the service project, a portion of what we pay to go goes directly to the school to help them build bathrooms and to buy lunches for the students and things like that. And we bring school supplies and toothbrushes and things like that with us when we go. We'll go to the equator. We're going to go to the Cotopaxi National Forest, and we're going to go to the cloud forest while we're there. It's going to be a 2-week trip. There are 5 students, the Spanish instructor and myself going this year. There were a little more people in Peru. And then next year we're going to Ireland. So we won't be needing to learn Spanish for next year's trip. But we will be going primarily to Western Ireland. We'll start out in Dublin. And then we'll travel into Western Ireland and we'll learn about literature and art and culture and history. We'll travel into Northern Ireland and learn about peace and conflict resolution in Northern Ireland. And we'll maybe learn about Celtic mythology and learn a little Gaelic, just because I can't have them learn any language at all around the country. But planning these things is a large part of what falls on my plate as the local person and the anthropology person as well. And I have just finished planning next year's trip, and it took me an entire year to do that, and now I'm starting to look at what we should do in 2015. So as an administrator, I plan in like a 3-year cycle of coursework and extra, co-curricular activities and all those types of things. The trips are labor intensive, but they're the fun part. I get to take students and watch them explore different countries and learn about different cultures. Sometimes they have never left the county before they get to go on one of these trips, so it's really nice to see them explore that. So I do a whole lot less archaeology now than I did when I was a full-time faculty member, but I get to work on some of the other global projects instead, many of which all at the same time, and I'm also the faculty advisor for the Study Abroad Club, which are usually whoever's interested in going on the trip that year, and so we'll do some fundraising for the students to pay for their trip, and we will do fun stuff on campus, like the chocolate movie, and we'll do potluck ethnic luncheons, whatever they really, go to a museum or something like that, whatever it is they want to do. At the time, they hosted a booth at the Green Fair as well, and talked about some of the ecological explorations that they're going to be doing in Ecuador. And some of the cool people came and talked about the Amazonian rainforest, which was awesome and hideous all at the same time. We only had electricity from 5:30 to 9:30 at night, and really all that got you was a fan and one light bulb in your room. And no hot water or cold showers the whole time we were in the jungle. But it was beautiful, so there was that side to that. So that's sort of what we do and what I do on a regular basis, which is probably not something you thought you would do in an anthropology degree, maybe. So, it kind of happened by accident. That's why the title was It Could Happen to You. I kind of thought my path was going to be a full-time instructor at a university, was where I thought I would end up when I was in school, where you guys are now. But sometimes, sometimes the opportunities emerge that are a little bit different than where you thought you might go, but are rewarding sort of in the same way. So I still teach anthropology classes just because I would cry if I didn't. And that's probably why I teach 2 or 3 instead of just the one I'm supposed to teach every semester. But I get to, plan study abroad programs, and I get to think about all the different aspects of globalizing the campus, and I get to interact with the students in different ways. What do you guys think you want to do?
What advice would you give, like an undergraduate anthropology major who thinks that he or she wants to be a community college faculty member? What advice would you give them in preparing themselves both as undergraduate and graduate, if that's their goal, is to become community college?
If community college is sort of what intrigues you, I would suggest you get 18 hours in a second discipline. Because we don't, at least at the size school we are, and we're a medium-sized school, a full-time faculty member teaches 6 classes a semester, and we don't usually have the enrollment numbers to generate 6 classes in anthropology alone. At our size school, somewhere like Central Piedmont in Charlotte, they have a full-time anthropology professor because they're much larger, and they'll have enough room for a full-time position in that. So history would be a good option, or sociology would be a good option, or humanities would be a good option as an 18-hour sort of supplement to that. The difference, I think, at a community college is that you're 100% teaching, whereas at a university, there's usually some kind of research that goes along with your teaching load. And it's usually the introductory level courses. So we're only teaching what you would get, like so that 1,000 or 2,000 level equivalent here is what we're teaching there. So I teach general anthropology, which is introduction to anthropology. I teach introduction to archaeology, and I teach comparative cultures, maybe you call that societies around the world here. And we could teach intro to cultural anthropology, although I haven't had a large call for it where we are. Other colleges do. And I think we're the only one in Eastern Carolina who teaches archaeology. I think everybody else is either cultural or comparative cultures, and then the general anthropology course. And we do that both online and seated.
And don't you do a field school in archaeology?
We do an archaeology field school that's associated with the archaeology class in conjunction with Dr. Ewan and a graduate student here at East Carolina Anthropology Department usually helps run that, so it's an opportunity for them to sort of get some professional work on their resume as sort of an adjunct before or right at the point where they're graduating. And oftentimes people coming out of school start out as a part-time instructor, and community colleges rely heavily on part-time instructors to fill their courses. Like in my department, I have 6 full-time faculty members for all those disciplines. And then I have about 15 or 18 part-time faculty members who teach about a handful of classes for us on a regular basis. So oftentimes when you're starting to teach, you start as an adjunct anthropology instructor. That's where I started. I started out teaching while I was finishing up my grad work at Florida State, for Florida State and for Tallahassee Community College, which is what interested me in community colleges, is sort of where my place was in the world. And then there's museums. I worked in a museum for a little while, part-time. I got certified in museum studies as I was finishing my PhD while I was at Florida State, and part of that was an internship. And I did an internship at the Ringling Museum in Sarasota, Florida. And if anybody hasn't been there, they have this beautiful historic home called the Cadazan. They have a circus museum, and then they have a beautiful art museum as well. And then I also had an internship that I did at a historic home museum in Tallahassee, who offered me a job when the internship was over. So I worked for the state of Florida in the museum industry for a while. That's down there as well. So that's an opportunity for an anthropology person to work in the museum industry as well. Translates really well. Historic preservation is an opportunity for an anthropologist if you're historically oriented as an anthropologist. My best advice is somebody looking for a job and trying to figure out whether are any of you in grad school now? No. Are you thinking about whether you want to go to grad school or not? Think about what kind of job you want. And then go to the American Anthropology Association website or the SAA website and look at what people are asking for in those jobs. You know, that if you want to do this, what is the qualifications? Is it a master's, is it a bachelor's, is it a PhD? And that'll sort of give you a general guideline of how much school you'll need to get there. And there are jobs in archaeology, in particular at the state level, and then the National Park Service that you can work in. Cultural resource management is a big area for archaeologists coming out of school. How many of you are archaeology? Okay. None? Cultural? A couple cultural? Biological? Undecided? So, as anthropology helps you understand people, and you can really use that almost anywhere. And it's one of those skills that companies are looking for just in general. When we ask companies in our area, what can we teach our students that you need them to know, that makes them desirable when you're hiring? Yeah, the technical skills for whatever industry that is, but they want people who can speak well, who can work as a team, and can understand diversity. And that is a really important thing to them. And anthropology is about people and culture and understanding differences and similarities and how much more similar we really are than different most of the time. And so we understand people, and we can navigate differences in groups of people who are trying to work together in a way that maybe some other people can't. I don't want to go over my time. We're good? Okay. So.
First of all, let's have a round of applause for Dr. Bellacero. And I have just a quick question is that one of the things that you had indicated and when we were talking is that when you graduated with your BA, there was a number of companies interested in just with your BA, you know, because you were thinking of other advanced degrees, but the importance of your BA was very significant to a lot of companies locally. And then I hear through your talk as an administrator, you used the phrase create order. You know, you're doing this, creating order. And that's not part of what we're trained to do, but you're thrown into a position to create order. Can you expound on how important it is to where you develop the skills somewhere to create order in the past, but also in the present?
Sure. Well, with the BA, when I graduated here in 2001, which seems like a million years ago now, which happened very quickly, we moved past that, I got a lot of letters from financial institutions and banks and firms that dealt with financial type issues, and I couldn't understand, I'm like, what do they want with an anthropologist? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get why they were trying to recruit me. What they really wanted was someone who had good communication skills and who understood people and who could interact with people. And I guess they felt that the rest of that was trainable on the job. You know, they could train me to work in a bank, or they could train me to handle mortgages. But I had a set of skills that maybe not everybody had by understanding people. And if you think about it, our world is shrinking. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. We know people all over the globe that are moving around physically, but also just electronically. How many of you have friends on Facebook or Twitter or whatever we're using now? I can't keep up with it all from everywhere. Right? I know people all over the world. I have friends who are, anthropology people are all over the world now. We can still keep in touch. And so it's really desirable to understand multiculturalism and diversity, and that's something that you could translate into a different profession if you decided for some reason you didn't want to be a cool anthropologist and you wanted to be a banker or something instead. Order. Order is a whole nother thing. Those are, I think, leadership skills. I think are an important aspect of that. Good communication skills are an important aspect of that. Understanding the perspective of the person or the other constituents that you're dealing with. At the college, we have so many different groups of people who are all interacting and who all need to be able to play nice together, for lack of a better way to phrase that, in order to give all the students what they need. You know, there has to be room for multiple perspectives in there, and for somebody to maybe not agree with you, but to understand where you're coming from. So I think anthropology helps me there. I think it helps me interact with lots of different people and understand them maybe a little better. I like to watch people a lot as an anthropologist and sort of get a feel for them and what they're like, and then figure out my best approach to get what I need from them at the same time, and how it'll work out better for both of us in the end. And just good study skills are good organizational skills. I mean, just not procrastinating and learning how to manage your time. And if you get nothing else out of college, good time management skills or something you should get out of it. And good communication skills are always a key. And just trying to make sure everybody does what they need to do sometimes. It's like herding cats. Nailing jello to a tree. Something visual of that. Not anywhere near as exciting as traveling to Mexico, but.
Well, we really want to honor you and coming here and taking valuable time to provide some in-depth information and experiences. And this is our ECU Alumni Lectures Award, and it's to acknowledge your professional achievements and to give appreciation for graduating from our East Carolina University Anthropology program. And I want to present this to Dr. Bellacero. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.